Shalom. Call Halimla Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai Bashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And essentially, Shalom. Salakia. To 144,001 Now this is going into the VIX. The VIX stands it's abbreviation for the volatility index, which volatility to make it simple, volatility is the fluctuation of something, how much something moves in a given time period. Um, if you're a trader or investor, you'll typically look at volatility, and the VIX is the volatility of the S&P 500. It's also called the fear index. So let's go into it. So here's a little definition. A real-time index that represents the market's expectations for the relative strength of near-term price changes in the S&P 500, which fluctuates to the whole entire world. S&P 500, whatever, specifically this VIX, it fluctuates for everything in the world tied to Babylon the Great and in general. Another definition. The CBOE Volatility Index, also known as the Fear Index, measures expected market volatility using a portfolio of options on the S&P 500. So the elections were last week, and I believe around August the VIX skyrocketed. It does that about 3 months before the elections, and then it peaks once the right before it is announced who's the president, and Trump pretty much had almost a landslide, if not just a landslide victory, so that it calmed down because people think safe, right? Peace and safety. The VIX is a real-time index that represents the market's expectations. So this is letting you know how good the market is, because if volatility is, you don't want too much, you don't want too little, you kind of want just enough. I forget what nursery rhyme that was, or that saying where you don't want too much, too little, just right. I forget exactly what that is, but that's pretty much what volatility is and how it plays out. So when there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of mayhem, a lot of chaos, a lot of economic downturn, the volatility will shoot up, and that's going into prophecy. This volatility, um, the fear index, is a part of biblical prophecy because this is connected to the financial system. This is the financial system's indicator of how much faith people have in it, so to speak. Volatility values. Investors' fears and the VIX values all move up when the market is falling. The reverse is true when the market advances. The index values, fears, and volatility decline. So this is what? If the market is doing good, it goes down, the volatility. If the market's doing bad, the volatility goes up. And it not necessarily has to be bad, it's just fear, right? Emotions, because humans, the Heavenly Father has made us in our image. The emotions comes what? From the Heavenly Father. So let's dive into these scriptures real quick. This is Ecclesiastes 12:3. In that day, when the keepers of the house shall tremble. So this is what the keepers of the house are. These bond markets, these stock markets, these traders, these investors, ones that created what they say the methodology of the VIX. Those are the keepers of the house. This is how the economy stays afloat. If this goes away, this whole system crashes. In that day, when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because there are few, and those that look out the windows be darkened. So when this VIX, the VIX is a very strong sign of what I just read. So when things start getting rough out here, um, these investors are gonna what? They're gonna see the VIX rise, and when the VIX rises, they're gonna what? They're gonna get anxious. They're gonna be fearful, and what are they gonna do? They're gonna start pulling out. They're gonna see it's a sinking ship. They're gonna get on the lifeboats and they're gonna dip out of here, man. And that's gonna what? Dramatically increase the collapse. Things are about to get real rough, and you best believe there's going to be hyperinflation and all this turmoil before this thing, the system is fully unplugged and the MOTB is brought into place. Let's get let me get going to this economic crash. This is Zephaniah 1 and 10. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh, that there shall be the noise of a cry from the fish gate, and a howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills. And that's talking about an economic collapse. Because the fish gate represents what? Your economy, how much money you're breaking in, resources. And the hills represents what? A rulership. A hill is a minor power, a minor government, and a mountain would represent a larger power, a larger government. And you best believe all these nations are going to collapse right alongside Babylon the Great. Of course, the destruction here in America, the United States of America, is going to be far, far worse than the rest of the earth when it comes to the judgment. All right, so here's a note. As a rule of thumb, VIX values greater than 30 are generally linked to large volatility resulting from increased uncertainty, risk, and investors' fear. That's that trembling. VIX values below 20 generally correspond to stable, stress-free periods in the markets. So you're gonna see it's gonna be a point where it's gonna be at that 20. I think it's in between 20 and 30 now because of the elections. And the reason why it jumped up during the elections is because the possibility of Donald Trump getting there or Kamala getting there. You know, the policy changes and everything that comes with that. That's why it has uncertainty, risk, and fear. It's not necessarily something like a black swan event. What I'm referring to mainly in this lesson is the black swan event, the coming disaster that the Heavenly Father is going to bring to this place. The hyperinflation, supply chains being disrupted, more wars that what causes supply chain to tear down, to be rearranged. So when things get above 30, these investors, these rich people, the people that are investing in the U.S. Stock market, the U.S. dollar, things like that, they're gonna pull out, and you see with the BRICS Plus that's already happening now. But just wait till the BRICS increase more, and everything that the Heavenly Father has in store with these black swan events. This lesson is not going to be too long. Let's go to James the 5th chapter. James the 5th chapter. In verse 1, and it's titled Misuse of Riches. And Esau, this is talking about you Edomites. Because Esau, with his wealth, he's a mad scientist. He's an evil lord. He's evil. And what Esau has been doing with his wealth is to concoct ways to mathematically, right, hyper intelligently spread his evil and rule. That's a misuse of riches. James 5 and verse 1. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth eaten. So this is going to what? Esau being a damn devil. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. You have heaped treasures to gather for the last days. So you Edomites that have what? accumulated these wealth, the billionaires, the millionaires. You even got trillionaires out there. Just I seen was it Monaco? I think it's called Monaco in Europe. They have these they call them mega yachts. You see them yachts, man? You just look at them boats are absolutely massive. They literally look like cruise ships or like skyscrapers, but they're just a boat for a singular person or family. A person, family, friends, and whatnot. Maybe throw a party, but the boat is absolutely massive, right? A cruise is they're literally the size of cruise ships. These massive boats. You don't really see them like that here in the U.S. They're mainly in I think it's called Monaco, Monaco, Monaco in Europe is I think Monaco's, how you got Dubai and United Arab Emirates, that's mainstream, people go to Dubai, whatever. Monaco was basically the Dubai before Dubai existed, but back in the day when Monaco was the move, things weren't really talked about mainstream on the internet like that. It was more underground, but it's still a very wealthy place. Everybody there in Monaco, I think that the average person there makes six figures, if I'm not mistaken, or has a citizenship there, something like that. There is and it's a very small country, by the way. It's very small, and it's nothing but pretty much just wealthy fucking Edomites for the most part, riding their mega yachts and Bugattis, and it's all what wickedness. It's all off. Now, of course, being wealthy is not necessarily wicked, but you damn devils, in power, you Edomites with wealth are just going to spread your wickedness more. Verse 4. Behold. Oh, yeah. Before I go back to read verse 4, let's keep laying back in on verse 3. You have heaped treasures together for the last days. So Esau knows these days are the last. Why? Because first and foremost, the prophets are proclaiming the truth. And then on top of that, they're the ones that's finna collapse society. This collapse society is not going to be an accident. In the movies where it's just freak accident. No, this is all planned first and foremost from the Heavenly Father. But he's using Esau to do it. Esau wants to collapse society to kill off um billions of people, and the people that are left, he wants to chip them with the MOTV. All right, and he wants to get rid of the Israelites. Verse 4. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your field. So this is what Esau, uh, going having Jake in captivity, quote unquote reparations. There's no reparations, or at least for the full blown reparations, because you did have some of the Northern Kingdom that got some type of reparations from what they went through here in Americas, but of course the Southern Kingdom pretty much got nothing, absolutely nothing, right? So this is what is going on into. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. So we're crying to the Heavenly Father for what, you devils, to get fucking put down. Like the rabid dogs that you are, you're not fit to rule. You're fit to be a slave and be eradicated from the earth, because all you Edomites do is spread vile things, base things. This is Jeremiah. I'm going to end this off in Jeremiah 50. Jeremiah 50 and verse 16. Cut off the sower from Babylon, and him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest. So, in this thing called futures, right? And futures is connected to the VIX. Everything's connected to the VIX, but futures, um, primarily is American based trading. And in the futures, you have like corn and wheat and all these things that are traded. So when the crops start going, it's gonna mess with the markets too. So cut off the sower from Babylon, and him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest. For fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn everyone to. For fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn everyone to his people, and they shall flee everyone to his own land. So something's going to go down here in the U.S. that's going to make people start fleeing. You already have people fleeing in mass. You have they call them nomads, or what's the other name for these people that leave Western countries primarily and live in other Western countries, or countries that wouldn't be considered, Edomite, predominantly Edomite countries. I forgot what you call them, man. What is it? Expats, right? People that give up their U.S. citizenship and get citizenship in these other countries or permanent residency. You got a few of them, and of course Jake. Jake becoming more successful. You see Jake hopping on a wave, and once Jake get on the wave, things start making a big splash. People are leaving. I think it's called Hanley and something. They basically help people get citizenships in other countries. They said that a dual citizenship or people asking for a second passport or whatever, another passport, mainly here in the U.S., has skyrocketed like never before. I think I did a lesson on this a while back. Hanley something, Tej Hanley something like that, and they're going to what, Europe. So you know these are Edomites because I think it's what country is it in Europe where you can buy citizenship, and once in Europe, uh, specifically countries that are in Europe, part of the EU. UK had the Brexit, but the other countries that are part of Europe, they have this thing where if you're a citizen of any of those countries, like you can be a citizen of Norway or a citizen of Poland, but you can live and travel essentially freely in any other part of the country of that continent, right? That part of Asia is not Europe is really Asia, um, and it's a country. I forget which country there, but it's a country there. It's called a golden visa. It's either I think it's It's not Portugal. It's something. I think it's with an M. I forget it. It slips my mind. But basically, these rich Edomites over here in America are going to that country to get citizenship, so they can go have a backup plan to escape to Europe. What? Why? To flee that oppressing sword. And of course, these Israelites from Latin America, they gonna dip out of here too. People are gonna start in the Ishmaelites and the Elamites. They're gonna dip out of here. The Moabites, they're gonna dip. They're gonna do the race out of Babylon the Great once things start getting real wild in here. Because you best believe Esau's gonna start passing laws to oppress people more. It's nothing. Esau's done it before. The Mann Act, MANN Act. Go look. I'll give you a brief history on that. I probably will do a little short video on it, but just a brief touch up. They created an act to where if you have a woman and the sex can be completely consensual sex. No prostitution, no sexual assault. Just both parties, male and female, um, agree to have sex with each other. But if the woman cross state lines, you're going to jail for that because that's how Esau gets down. Of course, they revised it over the decades, but it took decades for them to actually revise it. But for a time period, that was a law, man. So that's how Esau gets down. I don't want to rush this out. This video was edifying. Shalom.